Hi there, you lovely lot, and welcome to the latest episode of Pat's Procrastination, brought to you by the Pat's Propaganda YouTube channel. Welcoming folks to episode 57. We are your hosts, Chudders and Clazzy Clare, and we are still tapping into that free agency that's now less frenzied. So, Chudders, how are things with you?
Are we saying the past week's been a frenzy flop? What F are we going
not been
for here?
frenzied. There's just been no frenzy.
Well, there was a
anticipation.
frenzy the first sort of 6 hours, wasn't there, when everyone signed, and then since then it's been more.
Yeah, we did a show after
considered
that one, though.
approach. It's been interesting, hasn't it? So, what have you made of the latest movements since we last recorded, then, Claire?
The latest movements of all of a couple of signings that are probably practice squad-ish guys, and the releases of a couple of guys. And we didn't talk about the David Andrews release.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Oh my gosh. Oh no, now I'm gonna get sad. I was like fine and ready to be positive and bubbly and have a fun show, and now I might cry and my mascara might run and everything because I'm so devastated. Yeah. Yeah, I tell you what, I was okay when I initially was under the impression, naive or not, that it was something to do with a physical, or because he failed his physical, and it was a potential move to retirement situation, that he'd realised physically it might just be that one step too far, and even though he wanted to play with Drake May, that kind of thing. So he was going to move into retirement, and they were releasing him as a goodwill for him because, from what I understand, if they release him and he retires, he still gets certain incentives and things like that. Courtesy of Paul Perillo, thank you very much. So yeah, when it was that, whilst I was really sad that he wasn't going to be on the Patriots because I absolutely love David Andrews, I was like, okay, he's got to move on for his own sake, sort of thing, and I was okay with that. When it came about that they just released him, yeah, not happy bunny. I was kind of ready to request a trade myself, in all fairness.
Where would you want to be traded to?
I'm really not sure.
I might look into that.
I'm worth a first rounder, though. If you ask a couple of people on social media, I'm untradeable, as in they're not allowed to trade me.
Oh, right. Could I trade you for AJ Brown?
You probably, yeah. So nice of you, thank you.
Well, okay, which
the nicest co-host ever?
Which is the tight end room you want me to trade you to?
Oh, okay, that's a very good point. Ooh,
Freiermuth?
No, can you send me to Detroit? Laporta is
You want to go see Laporta? Okay.
Yeah, that'll do. Actually, can you trade me after the draft so I can see what happens?
Okay. So there's players in the draft that you really want to follow. There's some tight hendage.
Dude,
that Claire wants a piece of.
Great. Hey, if you ask Fred Kirsch of Patriots Unfiltered, apparently I wish to tap that class, but still.
Oh, you own that, Claire.
Very highly inappropriate. Anyway, we're not supposed to be talking about Titans. We're talking about David Andrews. Very, very, very sad. You always manage to turn into tight ends and then blame it on me, and it's really not fair because it's you with the secret tight end love, really, and you just don't want to tell anybody.
Not quite. It's disappointing he's gone. Less about the play, and I do wonder if they've seen, obviously, his medicals, they've seen his recovery, how things are repairing, and whilst it's maybe not impossible that he can play again, they really do not have high hopes for the skill level he's going to be able to produce. So already, what we saw past year or so, his skills were waning. He wasn't as effective a blocker. He wasn't doing as well as his heyday. Even so, they were so poor at centre last year. You'd thought, okay, well, Brick Hills, he's going to be an improvement. Likewise, for everything he brings off the field, his leadership, his understanding, his knowledge, his mentorship, potentially of drafting a rookie and learning under Dave Andrews, that's the element that's more surprising.
Yeah, I agree.
But from a technical football side, it's kind of understandable that he's probably not going to be part of your future for much longer. But it's still just disappointing to see the play. Like you said, you were hoping the next day there was going to be a big, I'm retiring, and we can all just feel warm and fuzzy about it.
Exactly.
But there's kind of this cold side now, depending on what he does. Maybe even get back as a coach. He doesn't find a landing spot and he's back as a coach. That might
yes, that would
warm
make
our
me
cockles.
very happy, actually. Yeah, that would make me very happy. Look at you having warm fuzzy feelings. I mean, I know it only takes a Patriots player, but wow, some warm fuzzy feelings.
I don't have a heart of stone. No.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
So, on the David Andrews train, his replacement was brought in. Feels like, I hate saying that, actually. It feels icky saying that because they don't fit. He's because of who he is and who he was, I suppose, is actually more what we should say. He feels irreplaceable in that respect, but in the technical respect, obviously, a centre is a centre. And they signed Garrett Bradbury. Yeah, a 6-year pro from Minnesota. He was the 2019 first-round draft pick, which people don't put any onus in whatsoever. He's played 88 games at centre, and that's about it for when it comes to my notes for today, folks. But there's been things out there about him anyway. So, did you feel anything when they got him? Was there anything in that heartstone of yours?
It's about as good a replacement as they could have got. He's not as good as David Andrews back in his heyday, but I think it's better than what you had already.
And I guess will this season, as in 2025, the season we're coming up to, is there a chance that his season of that will surpass the final season of David Andrews sort of thing? So if that is the case, then you've made an improvement, that type thing. Now,
possibly.
You could say that.
I think it's more about building a line for the future as well.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
some people we can have for at least 2 years now, because realistically, people like Moses probably not going to be a lot. They're not going to be here for 5 years. But can you start to build a bit of solidity that can be there on a more frequent basis? Yeah. Not having to change line every game like they did last year, which I appreciate some of that was injuries, but also a lot of it was poor play.
I think it was sort of good that they addressed it. I mean, it feels icky because they addressed it quickly in David Andrews' day. If David Andrews wasn't David Andrews, maybe it wouldn't feel as icky that they did it so fast, kind of thing. But it also gives me, in a backwards way, a bit of confidence that they knew this was coming, so they tried to sort it out. It does feel like this season, whilst not completely successful, and there's lots of other different things that haven't been successful, it does give the impression, I do, okay, my opinion as a fan, let's just put it to me, I do get the impression that they have been trying to sort things out. Not always successful. Godwin stayed with the Bucks, that sort of situation. But it isn't for want of trying. And that just feels like last season, there wasn't any. There almost was no want for trying. Almost. There was but it's in hindsight that we're looking at it, I guess, in a way. It's easy to say it now when we turn around and look back on just how little. I think a lot of it is all experience in the league. I think it's still, I don't know about anybody else, realised at the time just how little Mayo's experience, and maybe even Wolf's experience as well, or part experience in his role, because I know he's been in the league obviously longer, was really going to taint on the team, I guess you could say. Maybe there's a better way of saying it. And I think we've mentioned it before. It's just something.
I think there was a naivety. I think there was also a lack of connections. You look at nearly all the Patriots free agents they've signed. Nearly all of have played under one of the coaches now.
I had
you
that
can see the connections.
Last week. Yeah.
Now I know there was still some of that. Hooper, for example, who played under Van Pelt. So they did that to some extent last year. But you've seen this year, Patriots appear to have targeted players they have cardinal knowledge about. They've watched train. They know the people they want in the room.
Yeah, they know of them. And it's like, I don't know, it just feels, whilst it's not amazing because they have had those whiffs, they have had those misses on players that would have really made an impact. They've also secured players that I think are really going to make an impact. So, yeah, We should move on. We're going to run out of time.
They're very, very good at signing defensive players, aren't they?
Oh, they are so good at the defense, retaining Christian Ellis for one, matching the Raiders.
That surprised me. Yeah, matching, because they picked up last week. I mean, this is one of the new ones since we last recorded. Jack Gibbons, who again that seemed a sort of wash of a fringe player. He's probably not a starter, but you got a rotational player with probably some special teams upside. It felt like they were kind of a wash because as useful as Ellis was, he was playing last year because other people were injured. And he had to play, not because his play was exceptional. Now, he contributed slightly, big tackles, some special teams plays, but he wasn't really standing out as a starter. And I don't believe he's retained now as a starter. He's retained as a rotational piece between, I mean, the two of them. There's a chance one of them doesn't even make the 53, to be honest, come the autumn. So yeah, it just surprised me that they decided to keep that there. Sorry, go on.
Do you reckon if you're picking Ellis or Gibbons, who are you got as your starter?
Probably neither. Honestly, neither. I think they could be competing for a backup role. Depending on the front they go. When you've got Landry, Bentley, and Spillane, I'm not sure. I need to work on my pronunciation. Then I don't think necessarily Ellis or Gibbons are going to be starting, to be honest. They're just going to rotate in situational plays.
Talking of names that are probably difficult.
Still got others as well, but yeah.
They brought in that O-lineman, that guard guy, Wes. Schweitzer, I think it's pronounced.
Yeah, Schweitzer, I think it is, yeah.
Schweitzer.
Well, Schweitzer. I think other new ones, Marcus Epps. Now, Marcus Epps, I think, is a sneaky good pickup there. Because he's a free safety, and they didn't have a free safety.
That's fair.
It'd be interesting to see how he slots in with Peppers and Duggar. How they rotate around
it, yeah.
There's a lot of sliding in, isn't there?
There is. He's going to make it.
Yeah, again, he's not necessarily going to be starter, but I think he's going to be he's going to play a lot of snaps. It's going to be situational. What sort of look you need and who you're playing, what down it is, what's the distance. Like, I think he's going to have an impact on this team more than he's not going to be an every down player. No. This isn't another McCourty, for example. They've had some great the defense. I'm really looking forward to seeing this defense play. Looking forward to it. They're going to play aggressive. I trust that they are going to play with a lot better scheme and identity this year.
Yeah,
and I'm really looking forward to them playing. Obviously, the concern is, as it has been for the last 2 years, they still don't have a left tackle and they still don't have a top wide receiver.
However, if the defense need to have more time on the field because the offense isn't as good, we have more players to choose from.
Very true. Hopefully, the defense are going to be so good every time it's going to be 3 and out, though. We're going to win every game.
That's it.
2-0.
Silver linings and all that. We haven't yet touched upon. Sorry, go on.
No, go on. What were you going to say?
I was going to touch upon the biggest bombshell that we've missed out on so far.
Oh, was this the message you sent me about where Ryan Izzo is playing now?
No. Just because he's your
friend
favourite
of the show
now and you think he's a great human being now and all that kind of thing, even though you absolutely trashed him on this show several times.
He's a great human being. I didn't say he's a great tight end. Great.
No. The release of the kicker, Joey Sly, the third kicker to move from the Patriots to Tennessee in consecutive whatevers, technically.
Seasons.
No, because I don't know if it worked in consecutive seasons. I'm trying to remember, but they took Gostkowski, Folk, and now Sly. However,
they didn't want Rowasser, but yeah.
However, oh Yeah, for about him. However, I think I don't know if you can count Folk because he went like he's literally been to every team in the league. I think he's such a journeyman. But yes, the linebacker-sized kicker has gone to Tennessee. And I'm actually, at first, I was like, oh, we've lost a kicker. And you're like, oh, now we need to draft a kicker. And it was like, oh, okay, whatever. And then I remembered that I really liked him and was really annoyed. So now I'm really annoyed.
You're probably more annoyed than I am. I wouldn't, if he'd have stuck
I'm
around.
more everything than you are, ever.
I'm more patient and more considered and more realistic than you are.
No,
Yeah.
no.
No, I am. We can look back.
No.
We can look back at the history of sandwich bets if you like.
No,
that
that's
prove
got nothing to do with being more patient and stuff.
Considered and right, yeah. So realistic. That's more realistic.
No.
Yeah, it is because that's
No.
what happens in reality.
No.
That's why I win the sandwich. I wouldn't if he'd have stuck around and he was the kicker. That wouldn't have bothered me too much. The fact he's gone doesn't bother me too much either. He wasn't that great. He did a job.
I like my kickers like linebackers though.
Yeah, I know you do. That doesn't bother me as much, to be honest. I prefer them to be a high percentage kickers, and he wasn't that.
That's fair.
That's their job. If he misses a tackle, on a
like
run
that your
back,
kicker walks
it's
out and he's
disappointing, but that's not his job, so I'm not holding him to account for that.
You have to be so
so logical. So realistic. Yeah, is that the phrase you're looking for? Considered.
It was
yeah.
fun. It was fun seeing our kicker come out and he could like flatten people.
Kicker is now an area of need. Hopefully in the first round they'll have an opportunity to draft one with pick 4 because I don't think 3 will go in the first few picks. But no, realistically, Patriots got three 7th round picks at the end there. I wouldn't want to be really spending more capital than that. Pick up the one they want, or if not, wait. Yeah, you could probably go UDFA. Sorry, undrafted. We'll see. But it is an area of need now. They'll probably draft one. They'll probably pick up another free agent. They'll probably have competition. Whoever wins it wins it.
They've still got Romo. They do technically still have a kicker in the fold. Oh no.
Exactly.
No, I wasn't making out like he was any good or anything or not good. There was no opinions in that other than the factual information that
if they had to play a game tomorrow,
kicker.
They would have someone who could kick. Yes.
Yeah, they technically have someone who could kick.
Yeah, he could. I hope that they do bring someone in to compete with him, and they're not just assuming that's going to be their kicker.
If Tennessee have got Sly now, who's got Folk?
I don't know. You keep talking and I'll find out.
No, he's probably a free agent, but we could just get him back. He was actually quite good. They didn't need to release him.
He must be about 106 by now.
Don't be so mean. He's probably
he was
36.
No, he was like 39 when he's 40 when he was on the Patriots. Oh yeah.
Yeah, because that's ancient, isn't it? Good Lord, Chudders.
It is for an NFL kicker, yeah.
For a kicker, though.
That's on the back end of it shows that he's possibly still on the Titans.
Oh, fair enough. Maybe they're having the competition between 2 expatriates, and whoever gets released will just get them back. Oh, shall we put a sandwich bet on it if that happens?
It's not impossible.
That's my sandwich bet.
It's not impossible. I would not put a 0% chance on that.
So Joey Sly or Nick Folk will return from Tennessee to New England.
They could.
Heard it here first, folks. This is fun.
So, looking back then generally at free agency, Claire, what grade are you giving them for the business they have done?
B.
What grade are you giving them overall for business, therefore including the business they haven't done?
C plus.
Well,
Maybe.
I think that's pretty fair.
In those rounds.
All the business
I'd like
they've
to
done.
preface this, sorry, with I am really, really happy that they have done what they've done on defence. I think it's great. I know that they have tried to get some of the players that are needed, and they have been unsuccessful for reasons that may have been out of their control. So I won't hold that against them. I think it's unfortunate, and it feels frustrating as a fan that they maybe didn't deal with it earlier, or that we're in this position anyway. But the things like I wouldn't sort of, I haven't got it against them that they didn't get Godwin, that he went back to the books, because I think there's that human factor, as I've said to you before, that you can't control. There's only so much money that you can throw at somebody that's not ridiculously obscenely stupid, that can not do anything against the family situation, or the emotional situation. I know that you struggle to understand half the time, but the situation that is, you can't put a price on things. There's certain things in life you can't put a price on, and we don't know if any of these players that have refused to come to New England, who have stayed with their remaining teams, like the guy with the Ravens and Godwin with the Bucks, that kind of thing, we don't know the human side of what's there, what's happening in their lives, that what may want to keep them in the location that they are. So it's not those ones that I have an issue with. Now, I know you have a big thing with DK. I heard somewhere, what was it on? Oh, it was the TC Phil Perry thing this morning that I listened to. It's a couple of days old now, but they had Brian Hoyer on. And I'm sure it was Hoyer that said how Metcalf doesn't really fit in the way that Josh McDaniels does his offense, sort of thing, which astounded me, quite frankly. But I understand that they were still in on Metcalf anyway, because Phil reversed the situation they'd said. So that one's a bit of, to me, that one's a little bit of, I know your standings. I think everybody knows your standings is you're just annoyed they didn't get him the end. It feels a bit of a, bit weird one for me, not just they didn't get him. But then again, I haven't got that opinion of sort of anything. This is why we've had arguments about it, because you have the rigid opinion of they should have just got him, and I say, should they? Yeah, so I'm a bit more on the Swade persuasion. So, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, I still think they should have got him. You need to improve that room. You need to get some experience in.
I don't disagree that they need to improve the room. I'm prefacing that. Stop, mate. Throw me under the bus.
So, okay, let's make it more relevant. Stephon Diggs, who was in last week.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want them to sign Stephon Diggs? Do you think they will sign Stephon Diggs? Do you think Stephon Diggs improves that room?
He improves that room, yes. Well, when he's healthy. Depends when he's going to get healthy. Do I want him?
Oh, you're celebrating him.
It's the stupid hand signal thing. I shouldn't wave my hands around enough.
What a way to announce it.
I shouldn't wave my hands around so much. These silly things on Skype. I think I do, yes. Initially, I didn't. I have been swayed by some various opinions to maybe think about it a little bit more. So if they got him, I wouldn't be as upset as I thought I would be. What was the third part? Or did I answer them all?
Do you think they will?
Do I think they will? Oh, jury's still out on that one.
Obviously, because they haven't signed him.
Well, yes, as we record this stupidly early on Tuesday the 25th, it's almost Monday the 24th. There's still, it seems, it's one of those things that it seems like, if he left, is it gonna type thing? However, just because he left doesn't mean he's not going to. It just makes that the odds seem less, doesn't it, really? We could still find out later today that they just needed some other talks or to check on something. I don't know. And then they ring him with an offer and he accepts, sort of thing. There's still a chance. It just looks, it's one of those, the longer it goes, the less likely it seems. type.
I think it's
thing.
unlikely unless.
Do you want it though?
I would take him, yeah. If
That's
you'd
not
asked
the
me a
same
few months ago,
thing.
he would have been about 5th, 6th on the list of receivers I wanted. But right now, you've missed out on the other 4 or 5 that are ahead of him.
Mhm.
Yeah, you need to improve that room. You need to get some talent. It's a it's a low risk move. You're not up against a cap. You've got money to burn, as they said last year. You've got money to burn. If it doesn't work out, you can cut him. It costs you some money, but it would be disappointing. If he was a true, I was going to use a word I probably shouldn't use, but if he was a true problem in the locker room,
A true
and
diva wide receiver.
I do expect he'll be a diva. But if it was at problem levels, if he was not gelling with Drake May, if he was not gelling with the other receivers because his diva-ness was having an adverse effect to the team, then get rid of him.
Yeah, I thought you had a very low tolerance for princessy behaviour.
I do generally. I think that with certain positions on a football team, and receiver being one of them, when you look at the top talents, there's probably an element of that you're going to have to put up with. We're not back in the era of when you have Gronk, Edelman, Amendola, players who happily just do their job and keep quiet, and they're not really divas. Doesn't exist. You look at all the top names the past 10 years, pretty much all divas. If you want talent, probably what you need.
It's curious. There's no diva tight ends, is there? Well, maybe Travis Kelce's a better one, but he's more of a receiver. So
yeah, probably not. I mean, but you could argue that they tend not to worry about the number of receptions as much. That they're less demanding of the ball because they know half their job is blocking.
As well.
Exactly, half their job is blocking.
People wonder why I love them so much. True football players.
Very useful position on a football team. So I appreciate we need to wrap up. I appreciate we need to wrap up shortly. So
we do.
We have 2 more episodes before the draft, and I think that the plan is in the future we will look at draft options for the Patriots and look at who we like. As a teaser, Claire, you don't have to give me any names, but what do you think are the Patriots' highest priorities currently going into the draft?
Well, I guess it should be offensive line and wide receiver and tight end
and what? Sorry, edge. What was that third one?
And
sorry, what was the third one? Tight end is an area of need currently.
Yes, it is. Well, it's not currently. It's a now.
At some point in the future, it might be a few years down the line.
Let me preface this by, if this wasn't a good tight end class this year, I wouldn't be as high on it, because they do have Hunter and Hooper. Don't look at me like that. They do have Hunter and Hooper, who are class combinations, and I love it. However, they whiffed on an amazing tight end class a few years ago. I mean, they whiffed. And
a genuine question on that, because I understand what you're saying, and at the time it was viewed that way, and I know you were high on Laporta, and he came out, he did very well. I don't know the answer, and I don't know whether we're interested in really finding this out, because that tight end class was seen as very deep. How many of them actually played out that way?
Well, I didn't follow all of them.
Just 3 of them out of 10 that people thought were going to be good, or was it all 10? I genuinely don't know.
I couldn't tell you all, because I don't literally have time to follow that many tight ends, I'll be honest with you. But Laporta was really good, and Ferguson turned out to be good for the Cowboys, and I really wanted him, and he was a later guy, so he would have, I think that would have been, for me, that was one of those, I think you should get him. A couple of others I'd have to look back and check at, like stats and stuff. I don't know off the top of my head from watching them how well they did, because I thought Wiley might have been quite good, but I haven't sort of looked at his stats to sort of say, to really remember. So you kind of throw me to the wolves here, because I don't have all the information. I'd have to check on quite plenty of it. But ultimately, they did still whiff on a class that had a lot of talent. Granted, we don't always know if all the talent's going to work out anyway. So, and for me, it's more of a case of, I'd be really disappointed if they whiff again, so that they don't set themselves up for something for the future. And we end up doing exactly the same sort of thing that we've done with the O-line. We suddenly realise we've got nothing, and we suddenly realise how bleeping important the position can be, and you've just completely abandoned it because all you're looking at is your diva wide receivers, and it's just frustrates the heck out of me when I'm a sort of O-line trenches kind of girl. When you with just wanting your sparkly wide receiver weapon things. That's why you frustrate me so much. But anyway, we haven't got time for this argument.
No, you see, that's where you misunderstand. I like having tight end talent. It's just I think we've already got some.
We have. I don't disagree.
If we didn't have any, I'd be.
I don't disagree.
If we didn't have any, I'd be much higher on this tight end class and how early they should be looking to take one.
But they've already got two after Gronk. It really not working out. The Jonnu Smith.
Oh, what are you on about? Ryan Izzo was amazing.
He was injured for his first year, and he was a better blocker than anybody gave him credit for. But anyway,
do you show me he's playing lacrosse now? Is that what he signed for?
No, he's in the UC. Oh, shut up! Just shut up. You need to shut up soon anyway, because we're going to wrap up. But yeah, I just don't want them to sort of have the whiff so badly. Like I said, if there wasn't the depth, if there wasn't the talent this year, I would be like, oh, okay, we can put a pin in it for next year, see what next year's draft is. A lot of it is less to do with who they've got now and more to do with what's available. Oh, take that face and we'll wrap up.
On that bombshell, thank you very much for listening, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe to all Claire's channels. I can't wrap it up as well as you, Claire. You're going to have to take over.
Polish. Well, that is it, folks, for episode 57 of Pat's Procrastination, brought to you by the Pat's Propaganda YouTube channel. As he said, please do not forget to be subscribing so that you do not miss an episode. We'll be back in 2 weeks, folks. We will be delving into the draft, as they say, so we'll be arguing plenty of who they should take and where they should take them and whether or not they should take a tight end. So if you want to tune in for that, please do be subscribing so you do not miss. As ever, make sure you're checking out A Claire Perspective of H6 podcast, most of those places that you find your podcast. Episode 110 dropped a week ago with the lovely Evan Lazar. So make sure you're checking those sorts of things out too, folks, and patspropaganda.com as usual for any articles. So that is it for the huge plug. Next time maybe we'll have a sponsor, but tune in next time, folks, and as always, go Pats.
LFG.